Hey everybody, this is Eric Rousseau from the Comedy Film Fest, happening in Austin, Texas this year between May 8th and 10th. I'm joined today by a group of filmmakers representing multiple films across different blocks at the Comedy Film Fest. So we'll go around, let them introduce themselves. Let's start with Zach. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your movie.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Zach DeSutter, and I'm the writer, director, and star of Fisher of Men, which is a 10-minute horror comedy short that leans heavily on prosthetics and visual effects and practical effects. And 2 seconds, guys. This is the head of the monster from the movie that you're gonna watch. And it is a short. So this movie is a short that I wrote in 2021. And then I was encouraged to just make it happen. And it was kind of just one of those, if not now, then when kind of things. It is my very first film. I have never made a film before. This is the first thing I've ever directed behind a camera. I've done lots of theater projects and lots of stage comedy and improv and things like that. And I've been in films, but I've never made a film. And it was just the time to do it. So this is something that me and my friend shot in 2024. And it is very collaborative in nature. I felt quite like a project manager. I brought along I wrote something that I wanted to take how am I saying this? Bring together my most talented friends and use their best talents to make something that I wrote, something silly. So it's a big team effort, and it was a very eye-opening experience learning how to direct. It was really wild directing myself. Can't say I recommend it, but it was, I'm happy with the result. And this movie is really silly. It's really goofy. I hope you think it's funny. I think it's pretty funny. And if you were to compare it to anything, it's kind of like a Mr. Bean style short. It's kind of like Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner. And I also, along with that, I tried to pay homage to the great state of Texas, the great natural wonder of Texas. And before you see my movie, you could probably compare it to a Primus music video. So if you know who that is. But anyway, it's really goofy. It's silly. It's a lot of prosthetics. Like I'm just repeating myself now. But yeah, it's called Fisher of Men, and I hope you like it. That's all I can say about me. Thanks.
Thanks, Zach. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're really excited about it and happy to we'll be able to showcase it twice during the fest, once at the Lone Star State Showcase, and then following it up the next day at the Midnight Movies for Lunch block. So really, really fun. And on that note, we've got a couple of other filmmakers joining us for the Midnight Movies for Lunch block. Victor, tell us a little bit about Sad Getty.
It's actually something I made a few years back in 2022, I believe. And I was working on a lot of editing projects that required stock footage at the time, since it was deep in COVID. And I was stumbling upon all these stock videos of this man who was trying to lose weight, and just was really shocked at the plethora of footage that there was of this guy doing all this stuff to try and lose weight. So just kind of kept picking from there and building it out and turned it into what it is now. So it's all made from Getty image stock video and narrated by me, and just kind of was figuring it out as I went along based on what stock footage I found next.
It's very cool. It's very unique. We're so thrilled to be able to showcase it. Let's keep it going. Keith, tell us a little bit about yourself and your project.
Hi, my name is Keith Ruggiero. I live in LA, and this was one of the first films I ever made. It's called Head. I shot it on 16 millimeter. It's about this, it's a dark comedy. It's about this guy named Clarence. He has like this mysterious growth on his forehead, and it squirts this green slime out whenever he gets emotional. Think like stress or mild eye contact, anything pretty much sets this guy off. He's often misunderstood, and his only real friend is his mom. He's shy and soft-spoken, but everything works out for him in the end. But it was an interesting process, and I shot it up in upstate New York when I was a film student at Syracuse University. It's about almost 6 minutes, 5 minutes and 48 seconds. And I was kind of going for like a Lloyd Kaufman, John Waters, Pink Flamingos, Russ Meyer vibe when I made this movie. I was kind of influenced by a lot of like early stereo hi-fi music from the 50s. So I kind of incorporated that. So it kind of has this like weird fever dream effect. And that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoy it.
Awesome. And Shannon, tell us a little bit about yourself and your film.
Yeah, my name is Shannon Yoakum, and I am based here in Austin, Texas, and I shot my films here in Austin, Texas as well. My film that is screening at Austin Comedy Film Fest is called A Quiet Sales Call: Return to the Office. So this is part 2 of my film series. We shot part 1 a couple years ago, and it's now doing its festival run. And then we just finished part 3, which is now in post. So what y'all are going to be seeing at the festival is part 2. And it is based on my experience being in corporate sales for so long, and the things that can go wrong when you're a salesperson. And the lead character is loosely based on a gentleman that I used to work with on the pit of the sales floor, and everything that he was battling when he was trying to make sales calls. So it's a comedy, and hope y'all have fun with it.
Well, so what I want to go back to is we've got a couple of films here that are very heavy in the practical effects, which I think is awesome in this day and age. So Zach, let's start with you for this. You kind of mentioned how important it was for you to have practical effects. Talk to me a little bit about like what that process was, getting to that point, what challenges you hit, and also like how it affected you as, you're both behind and in front of the screen and first-time director.
Yeah. Well, I really landed on the decision. Like I said, it's my first movie, and I had written this script, and I was like, I want to see how good I can make this. How seriously can I take this silly script? Like, as something my friends and I talk about, like great comedy is often taking a very silly situation and treating it very seriously, or taking a very serious situation and treat it very silly. And we're the former. This is a very silly situation that I wanted to take as dead seriously as possible. And as far as like the practical effects decision, I really landed on it because my producers, Nathaniel Hendricks and Veronica Payton, kept asking me questions about it, forcing me to shape my own vision. Like they would ask me a bunch of guiding, probing questions. Like, all right, well, like, what do you want to do for this? Like, do you want digital or do you want practical? And I was like, well, given that choice, like, I thought, there may be a chance, since it was my first, I thought there may be a chance that I never get to make another movie again. I mean, knock on wood, I want to, but it's my first one. I mean, I could die as soon as it's over. Like, I want something at least out there. So now the pressure's off. I've made one and I can make another and relax about it. But my friends asked through questions like that. Let's see. My producer asked me, she's like, what do you want it to look like? Do you want it to look like a B movie schlock, or do you want it to look like grade A 70s movie? And I was like, I want to make it look like a grade A 70s movie if I can. Like, this might be my only chance to do this. So through questions and conversations like that, I decided that I wanted to make all practical effects. And I was also heavily encouraged by our producer, Nathaniel Hendricks. He reminded us, he's like, we have even though I don't know how to do that stuff, I didn't make that monster head. I don't know how to do that, but I've got a lot of friends who are really, really talented. So we brought on our buddy, Patrick Neese, as the creature creation guy and the VFX guy. And then Nathaniel brought on one of his friends, Libby Cook, who was our production designer, and she built an underwater cave in our garage with flats, like theater style flats, and sealant foam and mulch and spray paint. And it looks really good in the film. They did a really good job. So to answer the question, which I've forgotten by now, the dream was to just have the most fun making a movie. And I thought what would be the most fun making a movie is making it as hands-on as possible and making something as tactile and real as possible. Because I also still think that looks a lot better. And here we are. I don't know. It's a blend of practical effects and VFX in the film. The music is also all original. There was no recorded sound on our set. All the sound was made in post. So that was all created too by our editor, sound mixer, and sound designer, Joe Olmsted. I just brought together the vision of a lot of people to make something handmade but good. Handmade was the goal. And I just kind of steered the ship in the way I thought it should go. And just making sure I paid my friends pay them in love and compliments, as what we couldn't pay financially, even though I would have liked to. But it was definitely a labor of love, and I'll always be grateful for my friends for doing this. And it's like the best memory I have ever made. The thing I'm most proud of in my life. Next time I make a movie, I want to do something. I don't know when it'll be or what it'll look like, but I want to use the same people, and I want to take what I learned and apply it to kind of like the same format. So I learned a lot. I'm really proud of it, and I want to do it again. And I'll probably do something handmade and practical again, because I found that to be the most fun, the most satisfying, if you will. That's my time.
That's great. So Keith, kind of similar question to you. And I mean, your added challenge was that you're shooting on, you said 16 millimeters, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the practical effects and working with an added layer of it with 16.
So yeah, I've always been into films that use practical effects. I kind of grew up on John Carpenter and the classics that would just use, everything just looked so much better or more fun in a way. And I just wanted that to be a feature in my movie. And I think combining that with film, because obviously 16 millimeter in particular has a specific look to it, but I was kind of limited. And I think in that limitation, you really have to pick and choose what you get on camera, and really have to fine tune your blocking and everything. And it's almost like what you shoot is what you get. You can't be too choosy. So sometimes there's happy accidents, and you kind of just let things fly, and it is what it is. But adding that element of the practical effects as well, I mean, it was more fun than I tried to just have in the back of my mind that to keep it in a fun atmosphere. I didn't want to take it too seriously, and also the fact that I was going for the campiness of it. If something kind of didn't look right or we screwed up, I was like, oh well, it's fine. We'll just move on, because you only have so much time to shoot. I think every time you roll the camera, it's maybe 5 minutes at most. 3 minutes, it's pretty tight. And then sometimes you have to go off and load the camera in a bag so that there's no light leaks or anything, and you don't know if you're even getting what you're shooting, because there's no video village or anything. You're just looking through the eyepiece. So it's a lot of Hail Marys, which many incredible filmmakers have done it in the past, and some of the most memorable films have been shot that way. So it was kind of a guerrilla style filmmaking, and I appreciated the limitations and the chaos of it all. It was just it was like playing with GI Joes or something. It was just fun. I just tried to keep a fun environment for everybody. And in this film, I was kind of like a jack of all trades. I kind of pretty much did everything on it. There were I had help with people like holding doing the gaffing and lighting and the sound and stuff, but all the post and directing and some of the shooting, most of it was a real lean and mean production.
That's awesome. And, you kind of talk about like the atmosphere and, the environment of what that set is. For something like this, given all the different elements that are going into it, were these frequent collaborators that you were working with, or, was it a lot of like one-offs on this project?
A lot of times, well, not everyone has seen the movie, but I would just go up and ask people if they want to be in my movie. Hence, I don't know if you know the mom, but she was at my church, and I just went up and asked her. I was like, "Hey, you want to be in my movie?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure." So, but she turned out great. And certain people I would just hit up at the grocery store or on the street. And it's not like LA where you need a permit for everything and everybody wants a contract. It was like everybody was just like, "Yeah, I'll be in your movie. Just come for like a couple hours." And it just worked out. And the only one that was really the main character, Clarence, he had some acting experience. I mean, he's a good friend of mine, and he had some acting chops, and he was doing stuff with the theater, so he kind of carried it in a way, which a lot of movies like Pasolini, I'm getting a little highbrow, but Pasolini or stuff, he would have like one actor, and then he would just kind of throw in people in the community into his films, and somehow it would all work. And I like that in films where you kind of have that juxtaposition with somebody who's kind of carrying the story, but then you have these off characters like just come in and kind of be like odd in a way. And I think it adds to the mystique of the almost like a Lynchian kind of a world that you build. Not necessarily like I'm purposely doing it, but I'm kind of been subconsciously doing it. I don't know, but it kind of just worked out that way.
It's interesting because, I know the film Head is so incredibly different than Victor's film. And yet I think that there's so much that I'm hearing you say, Keith, that I'm like, wow, this is so similar to what I feel like Victor probably had and went through with Sad Getty, with like that character. Victor, I mean, the campiness, the main protagonist, and then kind of throwing to other people. Can you relate to that? And obviously you're coming from it a lot as like an editor kind of background, what's your take on all that?
Well, I guess in the sense of like anybody could be an actor. Absolutely. It's just like there's so much stock footage out there, especially obviously on Getty. And of course, I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but just wanted to clarify that. They, I mean, they're always just doing like all these different situations, and you can kind of keep repurposing them for whatever you feel like might fit best. And it's really pretty incredible to see that, these performances could be read in so many different ways too. Like you might think that, oh, this person's not an actor, but then it's like, oh, but if you twist it around in the right way, they can be wonderful in the production, and if they fit the vibe and everything. So, yeah.
For you, was there like a level of kind of freedom that you felt in, finding these clips and then being like, oh, wow, like I'm building narrative, I'm building a story. And, it's interesting, especially in like, everyone's talking about AI, like you found a way to do this with utilizing real footage and, real audio. Talk to us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, I mean, super liberating because, you don't have to have a script really at all. You can kind of just figure it out as you go. And amount, like I remember when I first showed some of the earlier passes of it, and I was really just kind of trying to use as much of that guy's, like the guy trying to lose weight, of his footage as possible. There's like, he has a whole family and stuff that I didn't end up using in this cut, that are of people that are also overweight, and they're all trying to do like a weight loss journey together. And at first I was going to have it go in that direction of like, oh, my family helped me in the end or whatever. And then, kind of just didn't end up going that route. But it was pretty neat because like if I ever needed, oh yeah, sorry to go back to and finish that first thought. But when I was first showing those early passes, people were like, I feel like it can go crazier because there's still so much footage that I'm sure you're not pulling. And then, eventually, and I don't know if people are going to see this before or after they watch the short, so I don't know how much to give away, but there's like, there's gang violence and stuff in there that wasn't in like the early passes, but then I was like, well, it kind of looks like the other footage, so I think it could fit in there too. So it was pretty exciting to feel like, oh, I can just kind of keep building on this. And the fact that I didn't have to film anything or leave my house at all was pretty great. And and it's all my voice. I'm voicing everybody in there. So it's just, if I needed a new line read, I would just kind of do it in the moment and send it to friends and be like, oh, they didn't really buy that one. Maybe change your voice up a little bit. And yeah, there's a lot of back and forth. So it was, the best part about it was that it was free to make completely and that it already existed. And, by leaving the watermark on it, I didn't have to pay for any of the Getty footage because I didn't want to remove the watermark. I thought it was funny to leave it on there as well.
Yeah, it definitely adds an element to it for sure. Is this something that has Getty approached you at all and is like, hey, or you're like, I'm in parody, like it's okay, everything's fine on that?
That's that. I mean, if they were to ever approach me at all, if they were to ever see it, I don't know who's, I hope more people will watch it. But yeah, no, it's never gotten to that point. But that would be my defense of like, well, I'm clearly manipulating the footage in a way that, is meant to be seen as parody. And if anything, it serves as a great advertisement for the site, like look at all the stuff you can pull. So I think they would hopefully let me get away with it, and yeah.
Well, we'll be right there at your defense with it.
Oh, thank you so much. I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of the importance of editing, I think that, obviously it's there in Victor's film. Shannon, I feel like it's really, really important for, this series of films that you're doing. And I think especially this one, obviously we haven't seen the third installment of it yet, but you kind of like what we've heard a little bit from like Zach's film. It just keeps elevating and becoming more and more cartoonish. Editing is a real big key to that. How did you put all the pieces and elements together? Everything that's happening there? Like, talk to us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, I'm not the editor in any way, shape, or form, thank goodness. But I have a good one, and he's been with me on all 3 projects. And I think what I've just learned, the more you work with someone, the more you're in tune. And so now that I've worked with him on 3 different projects, it's so much easier. He kind of knows how to speak Shannon. Like when we go over a shot, he'll know what to do. He'll know what to capture. So I think like it is finding your wolf pack and the people that you trust, to help tell the story. Like you were saying, Zach, you find your people, your crew, and hey, that you trust. And so, like I said, I got very fortunate with an editor, and I love the fact that I didn't know him for a long time. I found him through another female filmmaker that I met at a festival because I liked her short, and I asked her, hey, who did you use? And she told me, and she introduced me to him, and so the rest is history. So yeah, bringing him into the space, into the world, and just having that collaboration. And I trust him. There's been very, very few times where I've had to say, hey, can we get another shot? Like, I know we have a different take. Like, I know we got a different shot, a different angle. Can we look at that? Very few times have I had to do that. He's pretty in sync with the story that I'm wanting to tell.
And it's interesting because I think, Shannon, both for you, and I know we heard it from Victor, I think even from Zach, of like these stories were built out of the pandemic in some kind of ways. That's a key element to Quiet Sales Call, Return to Office. Was this something that, it just like you kind of had the different parts of it and it just so happened that the pandemic came along and it kind of like created this, or was it something else? I'm so curious because of how it's all segmented.
Yeah, it is all loosely based. A lot of the stuff that you see in 1 and 2 did actually happen. Exaggerated, of course. I'm taking it to a different level, but all of it did happen, and just kind of the uproar of when the company that I'm at announced that everyone had to return to the office. How it was an uproar and such a upheaval fight for a lot of the coworkers. So no, this was all kind of based on true to life stuff, but just taking it to a little more extreme, exaggerated level.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'm so excited to like be in the audience with everyone as they see how it keeps getting heightened in Return to Office. It'll be a lot of fun. Really stoked.
Thank you.
About that. So what I do want to do is, we've all kind of heard from each other, heard a little bit about, the process. I want to turn it over to y'all. I've been asking the questions, but I want to see if anyone has questions for each other. I'll take a little bit of a backseat for a moment. Anything jumping out for y'all?
Well, I do want to say, Eric, because you have all the categories for the festival. So how did you kind of decipher which film is going to go in this category, which film is going to go in that category? Like, what is your process in that?
Oh wow, I wasn't expecting a question to me. I think that like what we typically do at the festival is, when we start with hundreds of submissions, and then as we're going through it, there's just ones that are like, these are for sure. Like, we have to find a way to program around that. And I think, y'all's are really great examples of that. And, from there, we start to say, okay, so we've got 15 or 20 that are like shoo-ins. Like, we're absolutely going to build around those. And then we start to see, are there any kind of common threads there? And that honestly can help to fill out the rest of the lineup for us. So if there's anything that's like teetering of like, okay, we've got, 30 that are like, we really love, but we're not sure about, if we kind of start to see the common threads, that can be the deciding factor. So, midnight movies for lunch, of like this idea of like, we want to do something that's like, almost like the old school, like 20 years ago, like what Adult Swim was, or like, like a true like midnight movies kind of programming, like something like that. Shannon, I know you're in the, if I'm remembering correct, the seriously funny. So things that are like, maybe they would be called like dramedies, but I don't even know if that's fair. Like something that is like maybe has a serious topic around it. And how do we build from there? So we try to just like pull these threads where we can, but it's always interesting. And then there's always times where I'm like, honestly, this could have gone in like one of 3 categories, so we also have to look at it that way.
Well, I have a question for Zach. I can kind of see your creature behind your head there. Did you model him after Cthulhu? He kind of looks like a Cthulhu style.
Hell yeah, we did. Lovecraft was definitely a big influence. Like, I wanted to, it was another one of those things where I had like, I wrote the script, and then as far as like looking at it, like my friends really forced me to flesh out my vision by asking me the right questions. Like, I've got this like idea of what I want, and then Libby, our production designer, would draw. I'd be like, this, and I'd be like, I like this part, but I don't like this part. She'd do it, okay, this. And then, we went through several rounds, and she would whip up a rendering like really quick. She's incredible. And then, we had a big talk over, how big the monster's forehead was going to be. But the one thing I always knew that I wanted from the beginning is like tentacles. Like, I need tentacles. Like, he's got to have tentacles. And so there's like, all right, he's got to have tentacles. And like, do you want him like have like a bunch of arms and stuff like that? It's like, no. Like, he's like a humanoid. It's like, I want him like big black alien looking eyes. Like, all right, so, but yes, Cthulhu he's like a redneck Cthulhu or punk Cthulhu cousin. And the guy in the monster suit is our producer. It's Nathaniel. So he's the one in the monster suit. and he
Oh,
didn't
he
like
must
it
have
very
loved
much.
you, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't like being in that monster suit. But don't tell him I said this, but it was good for the character. So
Yeah.
getting him all mad, what really worked to be the arch nemesis of the movie. But no, God bless him. He did a great job. But yeah, Cthulhu was a big influence. I'm trying to think if anything else was a big influence. Signs, a little bit. M. Night Shyamalan's Signs. There's a little bit of that in the DNA. Yeah, I keep going back to like PBS documentaries. I wanted him just to feel like a real lake monster, like real fresh. I was like, he's got to be from the freshwater. He's got to be, it's got to feel like freshwater. And then we took the drawings. Then Patrick would make like 3D renderings. Like, do you like this? Like, yeah, but this, and he's like, you want to look like this. So, but it all started with Cthulhu, and then we just sharpened it by my friends asking me a bunch of targeted questions over and over again, like forcing me to take like my baby ideas like outside of the script and actually bringing them into reality. And they like pushed me in the right direction. It was a really cool experience.
So you're going for less like 50s creature feature and more like Toby Hooper.
You say 50s. I mean, it's hard to deny that Creature from the Black Lagoon is also an influence on it as well. But yeah, I like the Toby Hooper reference too. And I hope people see it as its own thing as well. I said my dream is that my film gets plagiarized after the festival run and people just take it and then just like the internet runs with it and it just becomes, its own thing out there in the ether. But we'll see. But yeah, it all comes back to Cthulhu, a scrawny, scrappy punk Cthulhu.
Well, do you have a question? Because Eric asked about editing. Did any of y'all edit your own film? Do you have other editors? Yes. How did y'all deal with editing?
Which one?
Yeah. Any of us? I was told since this was my first film, I remember we had the wrap party, like everybody at the wrap party who had made a movie came up to me and said, "Hey, congratulations on shooting your first movie. You're going to hate the first cut. Don't worry. Yeah, you're going to hate it. By the way, you're going to hate the first cut." And I was strongly advised to not get someone to edit my first film because I would have gotten a little lost. They say you get a little lost in the sauce that way and you start doubting what you've made. And it's really good to get someone with fresh eyes. So I was really, really happy with what Joe did. And I'm glad I brought on someone else. I would like to try editing a film. I would like to do it, to be in that total control. Like I said, my friends did a great job, but it would be nice to, have that on my response, me tinkering with it, me more in it than instead of having to go back and forth to an editor's house and lots of emails and lots of conversations. Especially when this is such a labor of love. But no, I did not. I would not have someone. I wanted someone who knew Premiere Pro a lot better than I did touching it. It would have taken a lot longer getting it out.
Keith, Victor, did y'all edit or did you have other people edit?
Yes, I cut it myself. I'm an editor that's for work already. So that's kind of how I got in the whole mishmash of even looking through all the Getty images and stuff was for like a job. And then just honestly, like in between waiting for like client notes and stuff like that, I would just keep working on the short, and just, well, I've got a few hours, so I'm doing some voices here, and yeah, just kind of kept browsing that way. And I love having like the total control to kind of just keep playing around, and like knowing how to do it is really helpful because then it also forces you, at least for me, it forced me to kind of watch literally everything and like use every single, and this is not just for this short, but just for like everything else that I work on too, is just like being able to even pick moments that are happening before anybody calls like action and stuff like that. Even if it's just like somebody sitting there and like staring blankly for a while, like you can somehow then use it, especially if for example, if it's like a locked off shot, some guy's just standing there like this, you can just mask him out and just let him sit there like later. And then it's like, oh, now it looks like he's reacting to something specific and this wasn't shot. And I don't know, it's just fun to be able to do that and know that you can kind of keep manipulating the footage as much as you can, the more you're familiar with it. And so I'm very pro editing your own stuff for sure.
Yeah, I had it pretty much edited in my head before I even went to shoot it. It was kind of storyboarded out and I kind of had a clear idea of what I wanted to happen. And so yeah, I edited it, but I also, this is an older film, and I had some distance from it, so it was just kind of sitting on a shelf, and I revisited it. No one had ever seen it, and I kind of took it back into, modern technology, and I was able to revisit stuff and edit stuff and add a couple things and correct things that I couldn't have done when I originally made it. So definitely it was nice to have some distance from it and just kind of revisit something I hadn't seen in quite a while.
So I'll jump in, and Keith, I've got a follow-up question because I've been thinking about this since the first time I saw your film. If you're open to talking about it, I'd love to hear more about that distance. Like, how long between when y'all shot it to like now, or I guess when you finished editing it, and yeah, just if you can expand on that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, it's an interesting story. There was a friend of mine, and he hit me up, and he was like, "Hey, I want to show my son your student film that you made," because he had a memory of it, and I made it. I'm old now. I'm like 48, but I made it when I was 23 at Syracuse, and I edited it on a flatbed moviola. We used, all the film equipment, and it just had been sitting in my garage for years on VHS because it's not even a clean transfer to like digibeta or even to any digital format. All I had was this VHS copy. So I literally had to go in and clean it up. I did some cleanup passes with Topaz because it looked bad. It looked pretty rough. So I did a lot of things to try and, it still looks pretty bad, but it's not as bad as it was. And it kind of has that charm to it because that's kind of how it was to begin with too, because we just did a one pass. There was no negative for that film. So it was just, they just timed it once. I'm speaking in ancient language here, but they would time it once and then you would get the film, and that was it. There was no negative, so they could restrike another film pass from it. So what we had was what we had, and that's long gone. The actual celluloid is long gone, but all I had was this VHS copy. So I was able to revisit it. I was able to rescore it. I was able to do the sound better, the dialogue better, because a lot of it was recorded on, like Nagra, reel-to-reel tape machines and all that kind of stuff. So it was like a real analog process, but then the post process, I was able to do new things to it and bring a little something special to it. So even though very few people had seen it before, no one has seen this current iteration of it. And then I sent it to my friend, and he was like stoked. So that was really that's what set this whole ball rolling. And I was like, hey, I did it, so I might as well just submit it to some film festivals and see what happens.
That's awesome. And it's also, I'm just speaking from my own experience here, but I feel like it's such an inspiration as well of like every filmmaker that you talk to has some kind of project that, for whatever reason, just kind of like got put on a shelf. And maybe it kind of like what you're saying, maybe it was completed to like, the best that they could do at the time, but it's just like, didn't really get like put online or didn't get submitted to festivals or whatever the case is. And I just feel like, it is, hopefully you take this as all the compliment that I mean it is like, it's an inspiration to say like, hey, it's never too late to go back, pull from that work and like put it back out there and give it some new life. So really, really happy that you did that and that you're sharing it with us.
Yeah, I've transitioned. I work in audio post-production, so I work with a lot of, mostly in advertising, but I work with a lot of films too once in a while. But I kind of put down the visual side of things, and I'm only in audio post. So it was kind of fun it's like almost like a time capsule to go back and revisit that and to play with the new toys we have now and the technology we have now to kind of see what I could do to make it shine or at least a little bit. It's hard to make that thing shine, but I did as best I could.
Well, I'm excited for everyone to see it because it shines in the best way, but it also, as you mentioned in your influences and kind of how y'all made this, it's also rough in the way that it's supposed to be rough.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really, really fun. Well, as we wrap things up, I'm going to ask the question that some people love, some people hate. And we'll start with Zach. What is next for you? So you've got this project. It's been going through the fest circuit. What are you working on now?
I'm making dinner after this. I'm working on that. So,
Shannon's making cookies.
Yeah, Shannon's making cookies.
Well, great. Victor, tell us a little bit about what you've got cooking next.
Sure. I'm currently in the middle of filming a feature, my first one as well. I guess the main similarity between the two of them is that I'm figuring it out as I go along. And so I've just been filming it on weekends with the actors and then start cutting it together. And then I send it to friends and be like, what do you want to see more of? Like, what's missing? What doesn't make sense? And then I'll kind of just keep going back and filming more and trying to make more sense of it and make it a full-length movie, hopefully, by the end of it. And so that's been good. And then besides that, just cutting commercials whenever I get hired to do so. And yeah.
That's awesome. That's such a cool process to just discover it as you go, have those friends that, can give you that feedback. So really excited. Can't wait to see what it turns into.
For sure. I'll definitely send it over here whenever it's done.
Keith, I know you mentioned, this project Head was a while back and, a little bit of a transition for you. Anything new that we can be on the lookout for you, though?
Yeah, I'm actually working on an album. I also have this project called Soviet that I do music. It's my moniker for my music outlet, and I haven't released an album in quite a while, so that's coming in October. And then I may revisit another film that I have sitting that very few people have seen that I think is pretty fun that I might bring back to life. I think it would be really cool. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of juggling a few projects here, and I got I work a lot in doing audio post stuff, and I've gotten pretty busy. So hopefully, I can get those personal projects off and running sooner than later. But hopefully in the next, definitely the album this year, and hopefully maybe that other film by next year.
Awesome. We're really excited about that and can't wait to see what it all turns out. Shannon, tell us a little bit more. I know we've got part 3 coming for Quiet Sales Call. Anything else that we should be on the lookout for?
Nothing yet. Part 3 is still in post, so we're working on getting that done, and we'll get that out in the festivals. As far as after that, it's odd. I had some people come to me about doing a part 4 and continuing this series. I'm open to it. I would need a lot more collaboration because as far as how the story would go, there's that. My heart project would be to look at doing maybe a documentary, and not of this, but just something completely different, like a pivot with something different. So we'll see. We'll see after we finally get 3 wrapped up and out in the festivals. We'll see what's next. Either part 4 or documentary. Fingers crossed.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you all for joining me. And again, these films can all be seen at the Comedy Film Festival happening in Austin from May 8th through the 10th. Thank you all, and we'll look forward to seeing you there.
Thanks, Eric. You're my buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.